Hello and welcome to one of my favorite places in all of Perry County. You are now standing with me in the middle of the Hemlock Natural Area in the very southern tip of Perry County. This place is so cool because it houses some of the tallest trees in central Pennsylvania. It's about 1.5 miles long, this little valley that I'm standing in, and covers 120 acres. Back in 2005, a gentleman came to survey some of the trees that are here, and he estimated that the tallest one he could find of hemlocks was about 138 feet. Now, to get real majestic in the tree world, you got to reach that 140-foot mark. Now, that was 15 years ago, so if that tree that he had surveyed is still alive, there's probably a good chance that it has reached that big 140 mark. I'm not sure, it's hard to tell. But what I can tell you is there's still a lot of majestic trees standing in this valley that help us understand just how big our God is. Before we do that, I want you to get an idea of just how big this tree is. Now, this definitely isn't the biggest girth tree here, but it was one of the nice tall ones. But if you check it out, I'm reaching the whole way around. I can't even reach the whole way around this tree. Why don't you go ahead and take a look at how high it goes. These trees look pretty impressive, and they are. But David reminds us in Psalm 29 just how powerful the voice of God is. As a 6-foot man standing beside one of these trees, it even kind of makes me feel small. But that's nothing in comparison to just simply nothing but the voice of our God. Listen as I read Psalm 29. Give unto the Lord, O you mighty ones. Give unto the Lord glory and strength. Give unto the Lord the glory due to his name. Worship the Lord in the beauty of holiness. The voice of the Lord is over the waters. The God of glory thunders. The Lord is over many waters. The voice of the Lord is powerful. The voice of the Lord is full of majesty. The voice of the Lord breaks the cedars. Yes, the Lord splinters the cedars of Lebanon. He makes them also skip like a calf, Lebanon and Syria like a young wild ox. The voice of the Lord divides the flames of fire. The voice of the Lord shakes the wilderness. The voice of the Lord shakes the wilderness of Kadesh. The voice of the Lord makes the deer give birth, and strips the forest bare. And in his temple everyone says, Glory! The Lord sat enthroned at the flood, and the Lord sits as king forever. The Lord will give strength to his people. The Lord will bless his people with peace. It's kind of interesting when you think about it. When these trees were born, some of them are estimated at 250 plus years old, possibly even reaching 300 years old. If we go back in history 250 to 300 years, these trees were alive at the signing of our Declaration of Independence. They were there when George Washington became the first president of the United States. They've lived through the Civil War. They've lived past the Great Depression. And as we look at some of the things that were possibly going on around here, they've probably lived through thousands upon thousands of gallons being dumped over them from the rains in that many years. They've seen literally generations of animals coming and going and living, giving birth and dying and giving birth to new ones. Time and time again, generations of animals have been past these trees out in this natural area. And you know, when we think about it and we look at some of the words in this text, we see, that can be a little intimidating. We see just how powerful God's voice is. His voice is so strong. His voice alone, that it could splinter these trees, just like the cedars in Lebanon. His voice alone could wipe this entire forest bare. And you might think, well, that's kind of an intimidating thought. And that's what makes it so important for us to understand what it is that God wants us to know. But here's the thing, we don't have to be intimidated by his voice. If we look at the end of the text here, what David's telling us is the Lord sits as king forever. The Lord will give strength to his people. the Lord will bless his people with peace. David's not saying this so that we're intimidated by God's voice. He's saying it so that we're comforted by God's voice. Because God will continue to sit on the throne. He is king forever and ever. And when we are his people, when we put our faith and our trust in him, we don't have to worry about the destruction of that voice. Because now we have the opportunity to be blessed by his voice. And that's his promise today that I want you to think about. God bless.